If you still think being the ultimate understanding, attentive, always there guy is the key to keeping a woman's love, this video ain't for you. Bail now, because what I'm about to drop is gonna shatter everything you've been taught. It's gonna sting. It's gonna call you out. It's gonna make you look in the mirror and feel that gut punch shame. But if you stick around, you'll get why your niceness has turned into a leash. Why, even though you're busting your ass to be the perfect man, you've ended up as an emotional puppy, trained to please, begging for scraps of attention, and mistaking blind obedience for real connection. And most importantly, you'll learn how to break free from it all. She walks in the door with a sour face. You ask, "Everything okay?" She hits you with radio silence. You feel the tension thicken the air. You start apologizing for stuff you didn't even do. Head to the kitchen, scrub the dishes, try to lighten the mood. Shoot her a text, asking if it was something you said. No reply. You double down. She stays stone cold. When she finally opens her mouth, it's laced with contempt. And you take it. You don't push back. You're more worried about her vibe than your own boundaries. You've turned into an emotional lapdog, always wagging your tail, hoping for a pat on the head, putting up with yelling, ghosting, rudeness, just to stay in her good graces. You're not a man anymore. You're her domesticated sidekick. And the worst part, you call this love. Today, you're gonna hear truths nobody's ever laid on you. You'll see why guys who don't draw lines get dumped, disrespected, and straight up despised by the very women who once whispered, "I love you." You'll spot the sneaky path that turns caring into submission, being around into boredom, affection into a chore. And you'll realize how, in trying to be everything she needed, you became everything she resents. Because a man who doesn't stand his ground turns into an emotional accessory. He's always there, always ready, always eager. And she senses, even if it's subconscious, that she's won the game. No admiration without challenge. No desire without your own core. When you vanish into her expectations, you're not a partner anymore. You're just a shadow. This video's for anyone fed up with living in that shadow. For those tired of twisting themselves into knots, chasing a love that only shows up when you stop trying. If you're still here, you're going to walk away changed. Because after today, you'll never settle for being an emotional pet again. Let's dive in. Number 1. The hidden agony of the boundary-less man. You wake up every day grinding to be the ideal guy. Up at dawn, fixing problems, hustling at work, doing everything by the book. Come home, listen, support, never complain. Even when you're wiped out, you push to keep things chill. Dodge arguments. Keep your voice low. Hold back your strong opinions because you're scared of coming off as a jerk, insensitive, or just plain wrong. Your whole life you've heard that a real man protects, supports, stands by her. And you bought it hook, line, and sinker. So you do it. And then some. You try to be the emotional rock in the relationship, the calm in her storms. When she clams up, you pry for conversation. When she blows up, you take a deep breath. When she cries, you blame yourself. When she goes cold, you crank up the heat. When she pulls away, you chase. And when she says she needs space, you back off, even if you're clueless about what went wrong. Deep down, you're in constant stress mode. An emotional minefield where one wrong move sparks a blowout. To avoid it, you trim yourself down, edit your words, shrink your presence. Stop being you just to keep the peace. But that peace is shaky as hell because it's fake. And you know it. You feel it in your gut, in the anxiety building up, in the anger you swallow, in that walking on eggshells feeling right in your own home. And the cruelest twist, you do all this thinking it'll lock in the love. Thinking the more understanding you dish out, the more she'll love you back. But she doesn't love you more. She just coexists. She treats you like a decent guy, but not the guy. And that eats you alive quietly. A slap in the face. You could handle that. But the pain of being invisible in the relationship you've poured everything into that gnaws at your soul. You start doubting your manhood, your vibe, your worth, and nobody notices. To the world, you're the chill dude, the peacemaker, the model husband, but inside you're fading out. You've drifted so far from yourself that you don't even know what you think, what you want, what you'll tolerate. Her mood's your compass. Her tolerance is your boundary. And respect, gone. And that kills you slowly. Because a man without respect can't feel truly alive. And the kicker, nobody warned you. Nobody prepped you for this kind of hurt. An invisible ache. A silent scream. A pain that masquerades as love, but it's just emotional survival in disguise. Number 2, the brutal thesis. You've become an emotional pet. And this is where you gotta swallow the truth that separates respected men from tamed ones. Because what's going down with you isn't bad luck, a rough patch, her job stress, or tough breaks. It's a predictable pattern. Men without boundaries turn into emotional pets. And you know what happens to a pet? It gets some affection. It has a spot in the house. It's even loved in a way. But nobody respects it as a leader. Nobody craves it as a man. It's there for comfort, company, emotional dumping. It exists to soothe, distract, ease the load, but not to inspire, not to command admiration, not to be taken seriously when it says no. And what I need you to grasp is simple but savage. In human psychology, especially in relationships, respect comes before mature love, and admiration before desire. When you don't set boundaries, you're silently signaling that your presence has no value, your will has no weight, your time is up for grabs, your energy is always on tap, and anything that's always available loses its emotional worth. She feels it in her bones, even if she'd never admit it. She senses you can be bent, that you lack your own core, that your backbone hinges on her mood. And when a woman picks up on that instinct level that you have no edges, she stops seeing you as a full man. She starts viewing you as backup, a resource, an emotional pit stop, not an equal powerhouse, not someone she'd dread losing because he has his own worth. And here's the part most guys dodge. It's not your kindness she resents, it's your lack of spine. Being nice isn't the issue. Being predictable, submissive, and moldable is. You can be affectionate and still stand firm, be present and still demand respect, love deeply and still say no. What tanks your status isn't caring. It's caring without standards, without limits, without fallout. Because when you do that, you become her comfort zone base, but you stop being her desire peak. You turn into utility, and utility ain't the same as value. A man with value has borders. A man with value has standards. A man with value doesn't trade his dignity for fake harmony. When you do the opposite, swapping your truth for crumbs of calm, you stop being the man she admires and become the emotional pet she trains. And the training's sneaky. She shifts her tone. You back down. She criticizes. You explain yourself away. She punishes with silence. You chase. She belittles with sarcasm. You laugh it off. She becomes the center of the universe, and you become the orbiting satellite. And satellites don't lead. They circle until they burn out. Now that you've got the thesis, you need to see where it stems from, because nobody turns into an emotional pet overnight. It's built inside you long before the relationship even kicks off. Number 3, why men fall into this trap. You didn't wake up one day and choose to erase yourself. This emotional pet role isn't a deliberate pick. It got shaped in you bit by bit, way before this relationship started. To get why you've landed here, look back. See what society, your upbringing, and your own scars taught you about manhood. Because they got it wrong. They told you being a man meant not causing trouble. Not yelling, not reacting, not pushing. Being the one who takes it all quietly. Who doesn't whine. Who fixes things. Who absorbs the hits. From kid days, you heard you can't cry, but you can't be too tough either. Protect, but never intimidate. Be strong, but never rough. And this quiet barrage built a split man, a guy terrified of messing up either way. So you grew up aiming to be as safe as possible, as likable, as accepted, to guarantee you'd never get ditched, slammed, or labeled. A lot of us were raised by strong moms and weak, absent, or henpecked dads. And what did that wire into your subconscious? That a good man pleases the female figure. That your worth rides on calming the woman, serving her, not being a threat. Then you jump into a relationship and replay the script. When she raises her voice, you lower yours. When she disrespects you, you chalk it up to her needing something. When she humiliates you, you hit back with empathy. And this all stems from fear. Fear of losing a love you never fully had. Fear of rejection like back in childhood. Fear of being lumped in as just like the rest. You learn to love with guilt. To love through grinding effort. To make yourself indispensable to be wanted. And this pattern ramps up in a world that blasts any bold masculine expression. A guy who sets boundaries gets called controlling. One who disagrees is toxic. One who stands up is an oppressor. To dodge that tag, you dilute yourself. Edit. Adapt so much you become a mirror of her mood, an extension of her wants, a shadow of what she expects. But in that, you lose yourself. Lose your core, your axis, your value. You stop being a rock and turn into foam, because you think giving in is loving. But it's not. Giving in constantly is begging for validation, and that wrecks you. She might even exploit it, but she doesn't admire it. And when admiration dies, desire follows. Where there's no desire, affection becomes a duty. Touch turns to pity. Sex becomes leverage. And the relationship morphs into a cage without bars, where you're your own jailer. That's why what looks like kindness might be fear in disguise. What seems like care could be anxiety for approval. Once you see that, you spot where your downfall started. And if you want to climb back, first recognize the signs you've already hit bottom. Number 4, 5 signs you're already tamed. It doesn't hit you all at once. No alarm bells, no red flags waving. The shift is subtle, slow, hushed. You still think you're the man in the relationship. Still believe you've got control, that you're choosing this. But truth is, you've already become an emotional, pet-tamed, shaped condition to respond to her cues like invisible training. To make it crystal clear, I'm laying out 5 concrete signs, 5 behaviors that scream you're in submission mode. If you spot yourself in 2 or more, yeah, you're already there. Sign number 1, you dodge saying no even when you mean it. You feel the discomfort, know it's crossing your line, but you stay quiet. She wants to go out, you don't, but you tag along. She wants you to change something about yourself, and you do. She wants to call all the shots, and you let her. Out of fear of drama, you fade out. But every forced yes is a no to your own integrity. And she notices. Every woman clocks when a man lacks backbone, and she pushes harder. You give in more. She respects you less. Sign number 2, you take sarcasm and put-downs as just joking. She cracks jokes that shrink you, make you the punchline in front of friends or family. And you laugh along. Laugh to not seem weak. Laugh to keep the vibe smooth. Laugh to avoid blow-ups. But every time you swallow that poison with a grin, you're saying it's okay to devalue you. And where respect's missing, contempt grows. Sign number 3, you apologize for crap you didn't do. She's pissed, and you say sorry before even knowing why. You feel guilty for her pulling away. You own blame for feelings that aren't yours. That's dangerous, because constant apologies make you the perpetual guilty party, and the guilty don't hold power. They just owe. Sign number 4, you're always on high alert not to piss her off. Before speaking, you rehearse the tone. Before acting, you predict her reaction. Before deciding, you seek her nod. You're walking on eggshells. Your default is tension. You measure words, gestures, presence. You've become her mood scanner. If she's up, you chill. If she's icy, you panic. That's not connection. That's affection survival. Sign number 5, your whole world revolves around her. Schedules, choices, friends, energy, all tied to her presence, validation, responses. You've ditched hobbies, goals, alone time. She's your gravity center. It feels like love, but it's dependency. A man orbiting a woman loses his own spin, and when he loses that, he loses power. Because she senses he has no life of his own, just an add-on to hers. and nobody craves something without its own spark. These signs are cracks in your manhood foundation. Spot one, red flag. All of them? Don't freak, but get it, you're not seen as a man anymore. You're tolerated as a handy emotional tool. From here, if you don't shift, the endgame's clear. Loss of desire, admiration, voice. But before I map the rebuild, see what follows this phase. Because what's next is even harsher. Her contempt starts quietly. Number 5, how her contempt builds in the quiet. It doesn't slam down overnight. No big announcement. She doesn't sit you down and say, "From today, I don't admire you anymore." A woman's contempt for a man she once respected creeps in silently, in tiny reactions, averted glances, dull eyes, clipped replies, fading touches. And you feel it. You sense the shift, but can't pin it down. You ask if everything's cool, she says yeah, but her body language screams no. Smiles vanish. Hugs feel obligatory. Kisses turn frigid. And sex becomes bargaining chips. Frequency drops. Intensity fizzles. Connection flatlines. You rationalize work, stress, kids, exhaustion. But deep down, you know, it's not the outside world killing the spark. It's the role you've taken, or rather abandoned. Because when you became predictable, pliable, dimmed, she stopped seeing you as a man. And a woman who doesn't see the man can't want him. She might stick around, might even brag about you publicly, call you an amazing partner, but all she feels is boredom. Boredom from knowing you'll never challenge, that you lack grit, that you take everything, that you've become emotional security but lost masculine edge. Then the subtler signs kick in. She picks fights over nothing just to test if you'll bite back. When you don't, it confirms you're harmless. And harmless means neutral. Neutral means dead to her. Next comes the jabs. That little dig about you not stepping up, about being too slow, about being too nice, and you chuckle. Try to play it mature, act unfazed. But inside it bleeds. Because you know it's not just teasing, it's the unraveling. She starts zoning out more away from home, laughing harder with friends, glued to her phone, daydreaming about other lives she could chase. And you feel yourself slipping, but no clue how to claw back. Worse, she doesn't know how to respect a man who's lost himself, because it's not malice. She resents because she needs admiration to love, needs to fear losing you to value your presence, needs your solidity to feel safe. And you're not delivering anymore. You offer kindness but no presence, care but no vibe, love but no boundaries. That kills her desire, kills respect, kills the bond. And she says nothing. Her silence is the language of disenchantment. If you don't read that silence, you keep trying to please, to convince, to win back with more of the same. And that speeds up the end, because she doesn't want what you're peddling. She wants what you stopped being. But there's a way back, one that skips yelling, threats, games. It goes through you, reclaiming your presence, core, power, and it starts right now. Number 6, the turnaround, reclaiming your masculine core. You don't need to yell, don't need to threaten, don't need to flip into the cold, distant, ruthless dude. The shift doesn't come from controlling her. It comes from reclaiming control of you, from ditching the fear of abandonment and dodging the loss of your own self. The path to your masculine core isn't a power play. It's a quiet return to solidity. And it boils down to 3 steps. Easy to grasp, tough to live, but potent enough to flip your energy entirely. Step 1, own where you've erased yourself. Inventory time. Where did you betray yourself for peace? Where'd you say yes, meaning no? Where'd you bury your wants to fit hers? Where'd you let yourself be treated like emotional backup, support, spare tire? Name it. Drag it into the light. Because a man who dodges his compromises stays trapped in self-delusion, and delusion feels cozy until it locks you in. Step 2, set boundaries consistently. This isn't about being harsh. It's about being clear. Boundaries are the edges guarding your dignity. The line where you say, this far, no further, no long explanations needed. Just stand firm. Lines like, I'm not up for that right now. I don't like that tone. Let's talk later. My mind's made up. Simple, straight, solid. And crucially, back them up. Boundaries aren't bluffs. They're consequences. If you set one and fold, she learns to push harder. You turn back to foam. But if you hold, even if she balks, cries, tests, you reclaim respect. Because she sees there's a man there. Step 3, reclaim your masculine presence. And this ain't about going alpha, dominant, or that performative BS. It's about getting your own life back. Routine, goals, solo time, something driving you beyond her. Because the guy orbiting his woman chokes the relationship, but the one with his own world invites her to admire. Get scarce, not strategically absent, but not emotionally on call for every swing of hers. Hit the gym again, study, move quietly, feed off your solitude. Link up with real men, because men heal around other-centered men. You need models, mirrors, voices. Rhythm, because masculine core builds when you stop trying to please and start being real. When you roll out these steps, things shift. She feels it. Her body reacts. Her instincts perk up. The relationship vibe changes. Now there's leadership energy, presence, direction. Even if she pushes back at first, controls addictive too deep down, she knows you're back. Back to yourself. Back in your space. Back as a man. And a man who knows himself holds steady, doesn't bargain essentials. He's impossible to overlook. Number 7, the moral close, respect comes before love. You can shower her with flowers, texts, trips, security, stability. Care for her when she's sick. Foot the bill for everything. Ditch friends, dreams, even your identity. Put her first every damn day. But if she doesn't respect you, none of it matters. Because respect comes before love. It's the ground where healthy love takes root. Without it, love turns to dependency, pity, forced cohabitation. No respect, admiration fades. No admiration, desire vanishes. No desire, the relationship rots quietly into mutual frustration. What keeps you standing in a relationship isn't how much you sacrifice. It's how much you stand firm. Your solid presence. Your clear boundaries. The peace of not fearing loss from someone who doesn't respect you. You're not here to be loved at any price. You're here to be whole, even if it costs the love of someone who only loves halves. Stop begging for emotional scraps like you're starving for affection from someone who doesn't see you as a man anymore. Stop clinging to a relationship where staying means wiping yourself out. No man should settle for being tolerated, endured, neutralized. You were built to impact, to drive, to stick in minds. Not by roaring, but by existing with strength, with clarity, with calm that commands presence, with silence that signals value, with boundaries that shape the space, because a centered man shifts the air. He doesn't prove, doesn't manipulate. He just claims space, and that's enough. If you've made it this far and this video hit like a slap good, because maybe it's the first time someone's talked to you man to man, not like a therapy case. Maybe the first invite to ditch the trained pet life and step back into manhood with stance, and maybe the last time you need to hear it before you finally act. Drop in the comments. Never erasing myself again. Write it. Own it. Share this video with that bro who's getting smothered in his own home without realizing. And swing back here when you need the reminder. You weren't made to please. You were made to inspire. And a man who inspires doesn't beg.